as president, I must put the interests of America first. Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
I, Gerald R. Ford, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
By the time Gerald Ford assumes the presidency in August of 1974, U.S. aid to South Vietnam has been cut by 75% since its height a year earlier. For the ARVN, who've depended upon American money and military supplies since 1954, the cutbacks have a devastating effect. Planes sit idle on runways, unable to take off because of lack of fuel. Artillery pieces that had once been allocated 100 rounds per day are rationed to only 10. But while the ARVN's supplies are dwindling, the North Vietnamese are rebuilding their military strength. On March 10th, 1975, just over 2 years after the Paris Peace Agreement was signed, hopes for an independent South Vietnam come crumbling down. The North Vietnamese launched their largest and most ambitious offensive yet into the South. As ARVN units begin to falter, hundreds of thousands of South Vietnamese civilians run for their lives. On April 21st, President Thieu resigns. 4 days later, NVA forces reach the outskirts of Saigon. On April 29th, as Saigon crumbles, a small contingent of U.S. State Department, CIA workers, and Marines who remained in Vietnam begin a hasty and desperate evacuation of South Vietnamese civilians and government employees who had worked with the United States. Tens of thousands of people scramble onto U.S. ships waiting offshore. As they run out of space for people, millions of dollars of military equipment is dumped into the ocean. On April 30th, just before 8 a.m., the last American chopper to leave Saigon lifts off from the roof of the embassy. Less than 4 hours later, North Vietnamese tanks crash through the gates of the presidential palace. At 4 o'clock, a live radio broadcast announces Saigon is officially renamed Ho Chi Minh City.
We're all gathered in the bureau, standing over the teletype when it starts ringing flashes. Saigon has fallen.
Saigon has fallen. The presidential palace is taken. It was over. It was over.
When I hear people talk about Vietnam and they say we lost or it wasn't a war we should have been involved in, I can't necessarily argue with that, but it immediately brings to mind the people that made the ultimate sacrifices over there. The people that nobody asked them, did you want to go? The military people didn't have a vote. We didn't get a chance to say, yeah, I'd like to go to war. We were directed to do it, and by God, we did it.
I had taken my military experience and I'd really buried it. And I didn't want to bother with it, and I didn't want anybody else to bother me with it. But in my kids' eyes, it was a thing of value, and they're very proud of me. That changed my life. That changed my life in a lot of ways at that point. They were very proud of me. They were very proud of their old man.
When people ask me about my Vietnam service, I always tell them I'm very proud that I served. At the time I went in, I hated the idea of going. I hated the idea of being drafted, but I went because that's the way it was back then. The country wasn't on the best of terms with the Vietnam vets for a long time, but that's changed, and I'm very proud of that fact. The veterans who serve today get a great send-off. They get a great welcome home. Now, I never got that, but I don't care because today they are getting it. And in my mind, that's my welcome home. Because of what I suffered through, these people today are reaping the benefit. And I'm just so glad that the country has realized that our men and women who serve this great country are appreciated.
I don't think that anybody should ever apologize or feel the need to apologize for the effort that our soldiers in Vietnam put in. The American soldier did everything and were successful at everything that they were asked to do.
We had, again, people that felt that they were not going to come back, but they went over there and they served their country. So I remember the brave people that went over there and did what we asked of them.
You know, they say the World War II guys were the best generation. Well, those who fought every war since then were the best of their generation. They went, they served, they sacrificed, and they fought like tigers. They were noble.